Well, exotic dancers are now getting the rights they were once stripped of. This week, a judge ruled that Rick's Cabaret, an adult entertainment business in New York City, had been wrongly denying minimum wages to nearly 2,000 strippers. The Manhattan nightclub had argued that the dancers were independent contractors, not in-house employees, and therefore they didn't merit a standard hourly wage. But after a 3-year lawsuit debating the issue, a federal court judge determined that the dancers were indeed employees, citing a number of written club guidelines that the female dancers were expected to adhere to as employees would. Here to discuss the outcome of this lawsuit and the implications this will have on the adult entertainment industry going forward, I'm joined by RT Financial producer Bob English, who's been following the story. Bob, thank you so much for joining me.
Very closely.
So the nightclub in this case tried to argue that these women are independent contractors. They are not employees.
Right.
But what are the factors, that are involved here to make it clear, really, that they are employees?
Sure. First, I want to preface this by saying I'm not an attorney, so anything I say should not be taken as legal advice. Sure. But one of the factors is micromanagement. In other words, is the club micromanaging these employees? If they are, well, then they're actually employees, not these independent contractors. They have a number of factors like there's no chewing gum, must use body glitter, must set performance fees. In other words, the girls must hit dollar targets. Dancers must work 8-hour shifts at least 3 days a week. And they must have 4-inch stilettos, not 3 inches, not 5 inches, but 4 inches. Dance your first song on with your dress on, and the second with your dress off. So it certainly seems by this list, at least, that there's a lot of micromanagement going on.
Absolutely. And interestingly, the lawsuit also claimed that the nightclub had been requiring the girls to pay a variety of fees for every shift that they worked and for breaking the rules. Can you talk about that a little bit more? And do you think it's possible that these women were actually not even making money, but losing money?
Yeah, according to reports, there are a number of kickbacks in this industry. So if a girl makes maybe $100 on a dance or whatever, she might have to kick back $30 or $50. And your question, can she actually lose money? I would say it's probably unlikely. Why would she go unless there's the specter of future money to be made there? But a lot of these clubs overstaff on purpose. And that means when this law comes into effect, when this ruling, which has now come into effect, assuming that it's not successfully appealed, what's going to happen is these girls are going to be let go. So we're going to have simply fewer girls in the club, fewer opportunities for them. It's just one of those unintended consequences.
Absolutely. And Bob, this was a class action suit where 2,000 women were involved. But does the verdict on this case have any bearing on any other women that are in the same circumstances right now? Or do each of these have to be fought sort of on a case-by-case basis?
Sure. Well, this was actually filed in federal court. Had it been filed in state court, it would be another matter. State court decisions don't necessarily carry from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But theoretically, if this verdict stands and it has to go, like I said, through an appeals process, it could actually be used in other cases that are pending as case law, thanks to the very structure of our court system. Now, what could happen here is it could be actually appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court, which would be the court law of the land, and then it would have even more effective ruling.
How likely do you think that is, though?
Very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
Yes.
Well, it does seem like these adult entertainment cases are springing up all around the country. I mean, do you think it's possible at some point that we'll have some sort of sweeping legislation?
Is Congress going to go to bat for strippers? I don't think directly, exotic dancers, excuse me. I think what's going to happen is there are a lot of similarities between this case and some other cases that are happening in the hospitality industry, and that would involve restaurant workers, other people that depend on tips. And so if there's a national hue and cry to support these other industries, I wouldn't put it past Congress to slip something in for the exotic entertainment industry as well.
Do you think a lot of employers, though, will take it on, upon themselves to, self-implement this law so that they can avoid class action suits?
You have to understand a lot of these, especially the smaller clubs, they operate on the fringe of the law. Just like any other cash business, some of them are used for money laundering, and I'm certainly not trying to impute that they all are. Some of the bigger clubs might try to get ahead of this, but if you think about it, Rick's is actually gaining a lot of publicity. How many people had heard of Rick's before this? How many people have heard of it now? So maybe, all PR is good for business, and really all these back wages that they're going to have to pay, we don't know how much they're going to be yet could be trivial in respect to the amount of PR that they're getting.
You make a really good point, but I did want to ask you something. We only have a minute left. You know, a lot of dancers have said that this is a really good thing, but a lot of other dancers have actually expressed concern over this, saying that basically this kind of employee treatment, you know, having them have the status of employee will mean that they're going to have higher tax revenues. You know what I mean? They're going to be taxed more. So in the end, do you think that this could possibly hurt some of these women?
Well, again, I'm not a tax attorney, but what I will say is if they go on the books, they're going to have their wages withheld. Some of these girls earn thousands of dollars a night, and one of Rick's arguments was, well, why should we have to pay $7 or $8 minimum wage to somebody who's already making thousands of dollars? In addition, this could raise the specter of the IRS. With all the public attention on this, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these businesses, some of these girls get audited by the IRS now, unfortunately.
Sure. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Sure.
Love hearing your insight.
Thank you.
Bob English, thank you so much.